Let's start with some contract news tonight, Cal. You've got news of a key player for Port Adelaide that could have a domino effect on other key calls.
Yeah, this is a key signing for Port Adelaide that is coming soon. It's the re-signing, of course, of Jace Burgoyne. So this is a twofold signing influence because, yes, it's a 4-year deal for him that'll get him through to his free agency deal, so a good player ticked off. But the real domino effect here is that he's the major draw card for Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera considering Port Adelaide. So Nasiah has wanted to know what's been happening with Jace Burgoyne's contract over the course of this year. They're very, very tight friends. So he's considering the friendship element of going to Port Adelaide. And for me, the Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera decision is still very much live. He's still very much weighing up what he does in the future.
Who's the favourite in the three-weight?
Well, St Kilda has remained confident that their offer, and it's about $1.2 million now of at least 2 years, will be enough to get this one done. But he's still at the point of no decision. And he's weighing this up because he knows that his form hasn't suffered as a result of this. Adelaide and Port Adelaide, in my belief, have more money on the table than St Kilda at this point in the Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera chase. And that is opening the door for him to consider it.
So are Port the main ones, or is Adelaide still a chance?
I still think Adelaide's still in it. I still believe, though, the friendship factor off Jace Burgoyne and Jason Horne-Francis is making him consider Port Adelaide probably as the leading if he did depart St Kilda.
Adelaide closest to the premiership window, obviously. I mean, put Nasiah Wanganeen in Adelaide's team would be pretty exceptional.
Well, he's exactly what Adelaide need at the moment too, a bit of run and speed, especially off half-back. I think that's probably the only gap, if there is a tiny one in Adelaide's team at the moment, that he would fill, absolutely. But price tag, like, how much would it be for?
Cal, make sense of it for us. How is Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera worth $1.2 million a year? And Tom De Koning or Finn Callaghan, who's an excellent player, or Luke Davies-Uniacke, worth 1.7 to St Kilda?
This is the question, isn't it? And it's something that Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera would be well across as well. $1.7 million on the table for Tom De Koning. They're also in the race for Harley Reid as well, and that's not going to come cheap. You know the price tag on the Harley Reid chase at the moment too. So if he's at 1.7, what do you guys believe Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera would be able to demand from St Kilda? There's obviously a stay and a go price. We understand that. He would know that himself. But 1.2 versus 1.7.
Well, you'd take Milera every day of the week, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, of course, I think that's what he's worth, 1.2 to 1.5, but he's every bit better than TDK.
So how can you say he's worth that if you think he's better than TDK and they're offering him 1.7?
Because there's a big boy tax, and it's always existed. The big boy tax on potential. If you're over 195 centimetres and you're agile and you've got good agility...
You reckon taller players are paid more? Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera...
And they stay in the system a lot longer. That's factual.
Forward, particularly if he's playing forward.
Yeah.
If TDK is playing forward. But
right.
Ruckman, I don't think 1.7. I think that 1.7 is going to pull St Kilda's structure apart.
Is St Kilda becoming more appealing by the fact they will get Tom De Koning? Alex Taru's coming along as well, so he's seen the signs within his own club too.
I think the St Kilda youth is exceptional. I think that the youth is coming through. It is a club you'd want to play at in terms of the youth coming through, but TDK, if you go there, it seems like it's pulling him apart, and whether it fits in their structure, but they think they can pay it, obviously.
What Nas does is the biggest contract decision of the year, and it's still to come.
Yeah, Hurdy, what do you mean it's going to pull the club apart?
No, sorry, I don't mean pull the club apart, pull their structure apart. I mean, if you're putting $1.7 million player into, there are other players who aren't going to be happy with that. The current players who aren't getting paid.
Does it work like that behind the scenes?
Well, it's 10%.
Absolutely, 10% of your salary cap is like, and understand it's going up and understand that there's more money there, but if there's certain senior players there, I think it will upset some, put it that way.
Does it work like that behind the scenes, Rory?
You'd definitely be aware of it, absolutely. And you want to be performing.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to. You want to be performing, you want to see the value.
It's a huge call, Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera, and Cal, you'll be all across it as always over the next few weeks and months if it does get that far. Port Adelaide have a coaching change as well, Cal.
Yeah, this was a surprise, particularly the timing of this decision as well. So Chad Corns has been let go from the Port Adelaide coaching panel, been a member of Ken Hinkley's coaching panel for the past 10 years. Incoming coach Josh Carr obviously making waves already around what his future panel will look like, and Chad Corns won't receive a contract for next year. Now, the timing of this one is interesting. Do you guys think it is right to make the call in July? There's still 7 weeks of the season to go.
It seems odd to me that, particularly a premiership team, and you know Adelaide well, you know what's going on. Was there a disagreement there, or is it just he wants to go a different direction? I mean, as a coach, you want to come in and put your mark, but it does seem strange with one of your ex-premiership teammates that he's moved on as early in the season as that.
Unless Chad approached the conversation first. I know Chad is pretty content. He lives down in the Fleurieu now and he enjoys his life down there, but the timing's interesting more so from Marty Matner has been one that's name's been thrown up and linked to Port, and he'll be very well deserving of a spot there. He's had a great run at Sturt. They're undefeated at the moment, so his name has popped up this week, so the timing...
He's previously been at the Crows. You've worked with him.
Yeah, he's a really good coach, and he unfortunately got let go during that COVID period, but his name's popped up this week. So the timing is a bit funny. Whether they just wanted to be honest with Chad or not, I'm not entirely sure. There's
some news tonight in the Herald Sun, which we've confirmed, that Michael Voss has been the subject of threatening messages. The AFL Integrity Unit is investigating. These weren't death threats, but nevertheless, they're said to be heinous. So we don't like to see that in a game at all. And we'll have more news on that over the next 24 to 48 hours on Channel 9. Speaking of Michael Voss and Justin Longmuir, these coaching decisions that these clubs need to make now are significant, aren't they, Hurdy? So let's start with Michael Voss. They haven't guaranteed him for next year. He's contracted for next year. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, Michael's in a difficult position, I think, with the way the team's playing. And every week that goes on from North Melbourne to Port Adelaide and then to the game against Collingwood, it just looks harder and harder for Michael. I don't think they will move him on. I think he will stay. There's still 8 games to go in the season, still a third of the season to go. And when I say it's difficult for Michael Voss, he needs to turn that team around. If I'm the Carlton hierarchy, I need to see them playing different, a better football and improvement, and the players really showing they want to be there for Michael. Because I would have thought the last couple of weeks it hasn't looked like the players have been really on the same page.
No, and we'll get to that. I've got some footage we'll show soon around that. But you do need to be on the same page, absolutely. But and Vossi, he's got to go away and he's got to get himself better. Players have got to get themselves better.
In what way has he got to get himself better? This is the thing, as a coach, when the side's not playing the way you want them to play, what levers have you got to pull if the effort and intensity, because that to me looked like on the weekend, and particularly against Port Adelaide, that first half, that effort and intensity just wasn't there.
Yeah, it wasn't at all. But if we can roll some of the footage, we're going to show it a bit later, but if we can roll some of the footage, I'll show exactly what I mean, because it doesn't feel like they're on the same page as a group and they don't quite understand the game plan.
But all they do is talk about how connected they are.
Well,
they're not.
This is not connected, because at times they go short when they should go long. There's players on out the back.
So just pause that. Just pause that. They're going to a 4v4 when they've got 2 players on the 50, haven't they?
Absolutely. But look, I love this from Charlie Curnow. He goes back in the corridor. The 3 players up the top of the screen, they need to get on their bike and reset the ground. Stretch the ground. Instead, they come back to Akers, who goes boundary and tries to hit a one-on-one on the wing. It's like that's not in sync. There's not enough players there that understand what they're doing. And this one, I showed this one on Sunday with Zach Williams, but this is just a lack of composure. So for me, Hurdy, I don't know if it's just a lack of alignment from coaches to players, or is it they're not training the right things?
Well, it's happening in different ways, but the same sort of thing, but it's slightly different every week. That surely is on the training track. You're training that. Look for the short. Use your numbers before you go inside 50. If you've got a one-on-one or you're stretching it, yes, go in quickly. But for Zach Williams to do that, I can't believe these coaches wouldn't have sat down with him time after time after time, shown him, but then trained it and say, look, we're coming to the middle of ground. Where are our numbers? Don't kick to a 50-50 long if we've got those numbers around the ball.
So I'm saying there needs to be some alignment from coaches to players, because players are all on different pages from what I'm seeing when I'm watching that game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And clearly when they talk about being connected all the time and visually they're not connected, there's an issue going forward. Will Michael Voss be the coach of Carlton in round 1 next year?
I think he will be. I think that all the noise and the way the Carlton have really just closed in over the last week suggests that they want him to coach, but they've certainly got to put some people around him, different people around him, because the way they're playing at the moment doesn't look like the messages are working and getting through.
I'm not off that view. What do you think, Tom?
Whether he should or whether he will.
Whether he will be.
I think he will be, yes.
So you're not of that view?
I think it's heading towards the other direction.
Right.
I think the last couple of weeks he's been poorly advised as well. Jumping from the coach's box down to the ground level, not speaking to players over the weekend as well, sitting in the aisle seat basically of the coach's box. I think at this time when you're under the pump, you need the optics to be good as well, and I don't think we're seeing that.
Yeah.
So is that the people around him, though, or is that him? Because
I think he should take responsibility for that, but also the people around.
Having been in the position where the side's not playing well, the pressure's on you, you do feel very isolated, and having good people around you who can pick you up and say, right, this is how you need to be around the team is so important. It seems to me you're saying he's not getting that.
I don't think so. Right. Clearly.